Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome into the Wolfman Gardening Channel. Today we've come in the house because, for one, it's in the mid-90s outside, and I don't want to be out there. But what we're going to do today is a little bit different than my normal videos. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our cucumbers that we've gotten out of the garden, and I've got all these out of the garden the last few days, and what we're going to do is we're going to make some pickles out of them. I'll show you what I use whenever I do my pickles. Now, there's 100 different ways to do pickles, but this is the way I do it. This is the way I like them. And what we're making today is we're going to make some bread and butter pickles, and we're going to use some seasoning that is store-bought instead of homemade. So let's get to it. I do want to show you one of these little things here. And I apologize because it's dirty already, but this little thing here, you can get these at Walmart. And what they are, it's got a neat little fold-up deal where it folds up. But you can set this on your counter, or do like I do. I sit in front of the TV, watch some catch up on some shows, and sit here and slice my my cucumbers up. So, got me a cutting board here. But what's cool about this thing is, if you'll notice right here, we're making the wavy kind of cucumber. But this little thing will fold up, and you can switch. You can switch this. You can see the wavy blade or the straight blade, either way. So we're going to use the curvy blade. This thing right here, you can see, you can actually set the thickness of this thing. However thick you want your pickles to be, you can set them with this. So, as we get started, I'll show you how simple this little gadget is. So, I usually take this little cutting board, and I just kind of set this little thing up on top like so. Set it over here where I can watch my TV, and I will take one of these pickles, just cut the end of it off here. All right, I will take one of these cucumbers. It's not a pickle yet, and I'll cut the end of it off because these are so messy. I don't want to get my couch dirty or get all this water that comes out of these cucumbers. I don't want to get those on the couch, so I'll put me a little towel over my lap. And this is just as simple as it is. Just going to sit here, and I've already got the thickness set. The blades are kind of sharp, so you definitely want to watch yourself. Make sure you don't. And we're just going to slice them down like so. Last little bit. You can see right here, look at all those nice, thin cut, wavy, beautiful cucumbers. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to bag these. Now that we've got these all cut and nice and ready to go, we're going to put them in these gallon Ziploc bags, and we're going to refrigerate these for about 2 hours while we get our other stuff ready and get ready to do our pickles. And if you want to watch a cool video, I put a video out, or about to put another video out, on breaking down the different parts of a cucumber plant so you can have better harvest. And you might want to keep an eye out for that one there. So, anyway, 2 of these gallon bags should do 12 of these pint-sized jars. All right, I'm going to show you another way. I like to take, for like the size of these jars, I like to find my cucumbers that are about the same size. I'll show you what I love to make. I love to make some of these. Now you can make these in dill. You can make them in bread and butter. I'm a big bread and butter fan, and I love bread and butter slices on my hamburger. But with this thing here, you can notice how it's got the wavy. Not only can you make the small round wavy ones, like so. Where'd he go? Okay, there it is. Not only can you make these awesome little things, you can also make these long. And these are awesome on a hamburger. Oh, anyway, you can make these real nice, and then you can pickle these. And what we'd probably want to do, if you'll notice that some of these are kind of falling apart a little bit like that, all we got to do on this here is adjust it. Now then, it's a little bit thicker. And we can do another cucumber this way. We'll take a look at this one, see if it's a little better. Oh yeah, look at that. Perfect, perfect slicer. Beautiful. Anyway, I like to make at least, out of these, I think I'm going to make 24 jars of pickles. So out of these, I'm going to probably have about 4 of these jars of these kind that I can put on my hamburger, or I can put on my sandwiches. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I like to cut. Everybody likes deal spears. And what I usually do is I take whatever jar I'm going to put it in, and I'll cut the ends off to where it'll fit in that jar. Now then, I'll use this as a guide to make sure I get all the pickles about the same size. And all we're going to do here is we're going to cut it lengthwise there. And I don't know of any other way to cut these spears other than like that. Now then, we'll bag these up, and whenever we make our dill pickles, we'll have the dill spears. So, but if you have any other way that you know of that you can cut these up, or it's a little easier, let me know. Leave me some messages in the comments if you have a better way of doing this. But what I like to do is I take these after they are washed. I'll take the lid and the band off, and I'll take these here, and we're going to submerge these in boiling water for about 10 to 15 minutes, and we're going to sterilize every one of these. Woo, we're going to sterilize every one of these jars. So this little thing here will hold about 7 jars. So to do a dozen jars, it's going to take me about a half hour or so to boil them. Then you want a rolling bowl. And once we get those, we'll set them aside and we'll go to the next step. But the step here is we're going to submerge these in boiling water for 10 to 15 minutes and make sure they're plenty sterile. And do that with all 12 jars. All right. Now while we're waiting for everything to boil and our cucumbers to actually chill, we want to make sure we get all the stuff ready for the pickles. Now, you're going to have some 5%, and make sure it says 5% acidity. You're going to have probably 7 cups of white granulated sugar, and you need, so it says 9 to 11 pounds of cucumbers for this package. And I told you we were going to use the easy way. This has got everything already mixed in it. It's got it's got all the seasoning all in one package. You can separate and you can actually make your own seasoning, which we do every now and then, but this is the simplest way to do it if you don't mind spending $3 or $4 on the seasonings. Now, if you're going to make tons and tons of it, and you want to buy the stuff in bulk and mix it yourself, you can do it that way as well. But a lot of times I find it just as easy to mix this stuff here. Makes it simple, and simple is better for me. So once you put your pickles, I keep saying pickles, once you put your cucumbers in the jar and we pour this brine over the top and we seal them, you're going to have to find a way to either pressure cook them or you can water bath them. Now, pressure cooking is, if you want really, really long term, pressure cooking is the way to go. I don't pressure cook anything here. Water bath, if you give them a water bath, I've had these pickles last, up to a year and a half, 2 years and still be good. So, and stick around to the end of the video. I'll show you the secret ingredient in order to keep these things crispy, for several months. These have been boiling for about 15-20 minutes. We're going to take them out of the water bath here now that they're nice and sterilized. We'll boil. We got 5 more that we're going to put in the water bath here to boil. Now we got these done. I recommend using welding gloves. I bought these welding gloves for this because you can touch just about anything in here and not burn yourself. And they fit a little better than an oven mitt would. All right. There we go. I do recommend that you get some of these. They're inexpensive. I recommend you get one of these. You can get them in plastic, or I use this stainless. I use this one because it used to have a little handle on it, but I guess the handle broke. It makes it easy for when you want to pour your stuff in there. It keeps everything from overspilling. Oh, move that out of the way for just a second. All right, anytime you're cooking jellies or you're cooking brine and all that stuff, it's like a porcelain. You can use like a porcelain type. Anything you just don't, it needs to be non-reactive type material. So what we're going to do is let's make sure this is wiped out nice and clean. What we're going to do is we're going to add all of our ingredients, which we've got 7 cups of sugar. Went ahead and poured up 7 3/4 cups of distilled white vinegar, and remember, 5% acidity. And what we're going to do is we're going to mix all of that along with our ingredients. We've got our mix here. We're going to add our distilled vinegar. And I'm going to turn this down. We're going to try to, you want to boil this on a medium heat, medium to high heat. You don't want to add our sugar. I know, that's a lot of sugar. And I love using the wooden spoons, the wooden stuff. Mix this up real good. Let that sugar dissolve. While this is doing and starting to heat up a little bit, we've got it on medium heat. And we're going to go ahead and prep our jars with pickles. Now, I told you I would tell you about a little secret ingredient that helps keep these things crunchy. And if you add this, it's called extra crunch. And all it is just a little calcium chloride granulates. You can buy separate calcium chloride. But if you take and you put a half a teaspoon in the bottom of these jars before you get started, this is going to help keep that crisp. That calcium will help keep the pickles crisp. Now, there's an old school way, which my great grandmother and everybody else used to do, and there's a way that you can mix some lemon juice and this and that, and you soak your cucumbers in there, your slices, and you soak them and you refrigerate them in that lemon juice for about 24 hours before you pickle them, which does the same thing. But nowadays, it's just as easy to do that, and it takes a little bit of the step out. So let's go ahead and get our cucumbers. And remember, we bagged these up yesterday. We cut them up and we put them in the refrigerator for 24 hours. Get them nice and cool. All right, and all we're gonna do is you wanna pack these as tight as you can. Now, because when you add this hot brim to this, and you think that's full, by the time you add that hot brim in there, you're only gonna have a half a jar of pickles. So go ahead and get as many pickles as you can in there, and you stuff them down in there. Just push them down really hard. It ain't gonna hurt them. Just like that. You want to leave a little bit of room here. You don't want to go too far to the top, because if you get them too far to the top, then whenever your lid goes to seal, it won't be able to seal. We're just going to do that with all these jars. We got everything prepped. We got all of our jars filled with cucumbers, ready for the brine that we're cooking here. You can do this anyway. You can try to pour the big stock over the top. I like to take just a little cup thing, and we're going to add the brine to the jars. When we're talking about a 1/4 inch of headspace, what we're talking about here is when you fill the jar up, you want to leave about a 1/4 inch of space between the top of the liquid to the top of your jar. That gives plenty of room for it to seal. You see, we got enough probably for one more jar. If you make a big section of stock, you can technically take this and put it in a bigger jar and close it off and put it in the fridge, and it'll keep for 2 or 3 days. You just have to reheat it, reboil it, and do your pickles that way. So you can save this stuff for a little bit. Now that we might have got a little bit, you see this, like a little bit of spill. In order to clean the tops of these, we'll take and dip it in these lids that we had boiled, where it's nice and hot. And you want to wipe the top of these rims before you seal them to make sure they're good and clean. You can see that right there. Make sure we're good and clean. We got our lids. I'm going to take these lids and we'll put them over the top here. Ouch. Woo, that's hot. And all that boiling water does, one, it disinfects the lid tops. It also, it's got that little rubber seal around it. It also heats that up a little bit to where, make it to where it'll seal a little bit. Whoa, I almost stuck my hand down in that boiling water. Woo, that would have been bad. Now we got all the lids set on top. Move that out of the way. And I'm going to put on this glove because this stuff is really hot. And we're going to put these bands on here. You don't have to get them real tight at all, because once we get all these on, and then we're going to put these back in this water bath for about 15 minutes. And then when we pull them out, we're going to put them on a cooling rack. And I technically don't have a cooling rack, but I'll show you what I do instead. That's something you have readily available in every home, no matter if you're canning or not. And that would be just a regular towel. Doubled up towel, set it on the, set it over there on your cabinet, and then when we pull them out of here, you can set them on that towel. Water's boiling. You don't want to fill this up very tall or very much. You want to give a little bit of room, because as you add these jars inside there, it's naturally going to raise that water level. And if it's already too full, then by the time you get all your jars in there, then it's going to be running over, of course. You can see that we're about 1 inch above the jars there. And we're going to set a timer. We're going to let these boil for about 10 to probably about 15 minutes. Then we'll set them off and we'll put these other 5 on there. And then we'll let them set and cool. And as they cool, then you hear that awesome sound of that clink, clink. Love that sound. That just means that, hey, they're sealing good. And then you'll be able to put them on storage for, I've kept, like I said, I've got some in here from last year, and they're still good, still crispy. So, and that's all there is to making these. All right, well, thanks for watching the Wolfman Gardening channel. I know this video has been a little bit different, but this is what we do with most of our cucumbers. And the reason why I grow the cucumbers that I do is because I like to make my bread and butter pickles, my dill pickles, even the sweet pickles, and one of my most favorite, the hot and spicy pickles. So, like, comment, share this video, think about subscribing to the channel, hit that bell notification, and like always, keep it growing.